Welcome. At long last, we reach the finale. It's the second phase of racing today, and we have got an individual time trial, 14.2 kilometres on a flat yet course. What's technical about it? A whole host of hairpins, to be honest. And within that as well, quite a number of 90-degree turns to boot. As you can see, the sand yotters are out, which means there's a breeze, and there most certainly is. Earlier on today, we had a reasonable breakaway formed, but it was always within control of the chasing pack. In fact, 6 riders went up the road, including Lars Yitting back. He decided not to finish the stage. Don't know whether his heart was broken, but you needed not only, of course, a big heart, but you needed technical skill and indeed maybe a bit of luck at the end. Huge pile up at the very last, and it really opened it up for Marcel Kittel, who made it amends for yesterday. Bauhaus of Bora Argonne did a great job of staying with him, and likewise did Kristoff to keep his hopes of retaining the leader's jersey by the end of the day, and in fact, of course, retaining the title, which he thinks belongs to him, this morning belonged to Kittel. Well, Kittel himself, as a junior, was a decent time trialist, as I'm sure you well know. Very much changed his focus these days, but be interested to see how he goes this afternoon and how much effort he's prepared to put in. No doubt about it, though, Kristoff is on the hunt, and indeed so are those around him in the overall classification. Lutsenko, Westra, and they'll want to go well. Here are the gaps. Now, Mads Pedersen, Lerberger, Luke Durbridge, Zabel and Tony Martin, twice world time trial champion. Looks like too much of an ask, to be honest, over a 14.2 kilometre course for them to make it back and nullify what has been an outstanding performance by Alexander Kristoff. This is the course. Now just watch what happens now. There's your first switch back. Let's have another one. There's your second switch back. 2 enough? Not for Maggie. There's another one. So, and look at the 90-degree turns that introduce each of those sections, and if you turn the map upside down, it looks like a howling wolf. And I'm sure that some of the guys here will probably not be overly delighted with themselves by the end. Magnus has just seen the picture of the course and realises what on earth I'm going on about. He's not impressed. Meanwhile, out on course, you're looking at Sylvain Toft. Very reasonable time trialist, the Canadian, for Orica-GreenEdge. Luke Gijs is trying his best to stay at least within sight of him on some of the flatter sections. You can see from the trees not too much wind. There is an exposed section as we go from about 3.5 k's out from the line, and that's where the wind blows across the beach. It is a northerly as well, so it's going to be more or less a crosswind, but a cross tailwind just to finish the run off. Magnus, I know you liked this course. It favours some and hampers others.
Yeah, it's not a purist type of time trial course, to be fair. With all these switchbacks and well, dead turns, I should probably call them. It means that you have to accelerate really hard, which means you're putting yourself in oxygen there, and then you've got to sit down and keep on pressing on. So it is one of those where you come back and you're thinking that did not really go all that fast, but then you might have just done a fantastic time. So it's very difficult to cope with, very difficult to get your body under control and know how hard to sort of go through these turns and kick out of the other corner. I would, where Sven is coming up here now, just like he's doing sit-up, get your right gearing and take a couple of deep breaths, try and get your heart rate to drop down a bit, and then straight back on the power as soon as you get out there, and then just progressively build that up as hard as you can until you're on top of the gears again and going there. That was not really hard enough kick out the corner from my liking, but yeah, Sven is obviously a very accomplished time trialist, and having finished second in the world time trial championships, he knows what he's doing.
It's interesting, isn't it? The balance that is required when you're taking a hairpin, and a narrow one as well. You saw even Sylvain, who's no bad time trialist and no bad bike handler either, giving that corner a lot of respect. But judging it is the skill, and you've got to do it time and time again. You will, of course, see plenty of other riders here as well, because it's a switchback on what is a narrow highway, as you can see. You can find yourself in the bushes if you overjuice it, overcook it into some of those curves. I remember Bradley Wiggins going very, very well, but there was a few squeaky moments even for Big Brad, wasn't there, on this course?
Yeah, definitely, and not to mention his team cars as well, trying to get around this.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah, having a several point turn to get around the bend.
Yeah, it's very tight indeed on these particular corners. But Sylvain, a couple of seconds off the pace there.
7:03 at the split. Here's Stash. He was the first man to set off, and he set, or will set. I think he thought that was the line. He slowed down to stop for the steward. Or did the steward just get in the way as he was too busy looking at the car? But nonetheless, this is not going to be fireworks, I'm afraid. Stash the Dash does a 19:28, 43.73 kilometres now. You're going to have to be much nearer the 50 mark if you're going to win today.
I think you're right there, considering that Bradley Wiggins won this time trial last year at 17:58. I think we're looking at somewhere near the same kind of numbers today to win it.
Now let's see what happens here. Now, what's the problem? Did he have to go round a steward? Was that what it was? No, that was a little bit earlier. Yeah, he was a round steward as well. Anyway, back to Tufty. Here he is, our Canadian friend. See the lateral movement on the front wheel. I don't think that's been caused by any breeze as such. There's not that much wind, although there is a light northerly.
That's just the amount of effort that Sven is putting into the bike and trying to counter-hold that with his upper body as well. It's certainly not easy when you're going flat out like they are here, and it's a difficult effort to do. Very, very hard. Just when you're coming out of this final dead turn that Sven has just got on now, then you know you got a good couple of kilometers of dead straight road. You've got to get the power down and really just find a zone. But it's not a purist type of time trial course, that's for sure.
Jakob Fuglsang is just about to de-ramp in a few moments' time. Here's Hansen, Lasse Norman, who was one of the early starters. Not a bad time trialist himself, and now our new leader, trimming 26 seconds off, almost 19 minutes, but still nothing really to shout about for the time being. The man-lifting kite was actually developed in Belgium during the First World War as an observation idea. Basically, you'd strap a bloke to a kite and wind him out. Trouble is, he was a target for the gunners. You had to be a brave man to go up there. Obviously, times have changed. Nonetheless, settle yourself in. This is going to be a longish session. Last rider off will be at 4:30 local time, so near enough anyway. Yeah, 3:30. So in about an hour and a half. And so in the meantime, Magnus has brought along his ukulele, and he's going to be singing some of the old classics from northern Sweden and the seal-eating folk from up there. So I'm looking forward to that. Posselberger. Would you ever stick a burger in the post? Well, here he is, 7 minutes. That's not bad, actually. That's pretty handy. Boro have come here with some great intent, haven't they?
Yeah, they have done, and I guess the difficulty with this particular stage here is some riders are now, they know they're not good time trialists, and they also got a big race coming up on Sunday, so some of them may treat this as a sort of a riding down kind of effort from this morning, whereas other guys, obviously, like Sylvain Tuft here, is going with everything he's got to try and do a good result on the stage.
Not the quickest man at the split. Don't worry too much about that. We've spoken about negative splits in the past, Magnus, and the best time trialists will measure their outpouring of energy, keep something back for the second part of the course, and basically where they know they can take best advantage, that's where they will use the resources that they've maintained.
Yeah, well, on the 14-kilometer time trial, you can't really hold anything back. It's more a question of opening at the not too hard. If you're talking power output, just trying to sort of keep the same power throughout the whole ride, so you've got to put in a bit of a guesstimate of what you can do, although it's more than a guesstimate, I think, with these guys, and then stick to that and know that the race is going to come back to you, and in the final kilometre or so you will tie up and start hurting anyway. There's an interesting turn up here as well when you're actually crossing the tram lines. Just need to be a bit careful with how you bank the bike over and not getting a pinch puncture on them.
Thank heaven the weather is with us. Right, don't turn too quickly. There we are. Yeah,
it's what you call 50p cornering, that is.
Don't go down the tracks. You have to go over both sets before you take your left. Yeah, absolutely 50p cornering.
Well, you got to turn in quickly, straighten up the bike to go straight across the tram lines, and then turn again and then kick out of it. There's a man who can definitely time trial in when he wants to, but I think he's a man who we may be looking at not going all out today.
No. A gentleman wrote to me on Twitter and said his name is Vogelsang. It means bird song. Can you please pronounce it correctly? Well, Jakob himself likes to be called Fulzang, so you know, I'm going with Jakob.
Jakob Fulzang, yeah,
indeed. I pointed this out to the chap and never heard from him again. Yeah, I got it from the bird's mouth, as it were. Here we are then. Just coming to the finish, this is Igor. Oh, it's Malikov of Gazprom. They're quite far down the order, these boys. I'm not quite sure how much they've got out of this race, but there he is. 1906, and already not on the top step of the podium, not in the hot seat. We're going to take ourselves a short commercial break in a few moments' time. We have Flanders coming up, and as a little taster for you, we have an interview with Kenny van Vlaming about the great race. You draw your own conclusions as to our sanity of doing that, but I'm going to be tweeting it in a short while. The interview or one of the interviews that I've done with him. There's 4 more to come, by the way, but this one is for Flanders. It is suitably nuts, so I hope you'll forgive us for that. But yes, Kenny on sparkling form. Have you met Kenny van Vlaming?
I have met Kenny, yeah.
Yeah, he's quite a character, isn't he?
He definitely is. We had a good chat a couple of years back now, actually.
Yes. Yeah. He knows how to measure himself, although by what standard is another thing altogether. Here comes Bauhaus. Now, this is a man who went brilliantly this morning. I had flagged him up as a possibility, and he was runner-up, albeit with a crash.
Albeit, yeah, but
nonetheless, he was where he needed to be.
Yep.
Right now, he's not. And 1925, he's not going to burn any houses down with that time, is he?
Definitely not.
Holgaard. Did I say that right? Was it Holgaard, eh?
Holgaard.
Oh, near enough, first time by. I'll take that. And this is going to be a decent time. In fact, it's going to be our benchmark, an early one, an 18:48. Plenty more still to come.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And we're getting towards our first sort of real couple of riders to look at time trial specialists. Well, we have one on the course already, which is Svein Tuft. And our next man out that I'm really quite looking forward to seeing is Marcin Bielobloch, who won the time trialing tour of Poland last year and did a good ride in the World Championships as well.
Maciej Bodnar is about to de-ramp in a couple of minutes. In fact, he'll be underway. Everyone's going off in 1 minute intervals, by the way, even the guys at the very end. Here we go up towards the open exposed section. Now, this is the area I was worried about, Magnus, where the wind blows.
Well, the wind does blow a fair bit when it comes on from the sea, but the problem isn't so much the wind here. It's the sand that you got on the on these what are we calling them? Bricks, yeah. The corners can be very tricky to take, and it's a bit on the bumpy side as well. So by the time you get in here, you're struggling to put the power down because you're that tired. And then they just add a bit of vibration to the whole scenario to make you feel even slower. So it's definitely a difficult section of the course, and it comes with only about 2.5 kilometers to go to the finish.
Fuglsang about to break the timing gate right now. This is his intermediate split. It's, approaching the top 10, 13th down, but 22 seconds away. I think he may well be keeping something in the bank for maybe later on the season. Let's put it that way. Here we are. This is a cross tailwind, as you can see from the olive bushes that various bars have got here. And indeed the canopies, usually when they lay them down, those umbrellas, they face them into the wind. Well, passing a fun fair. I'm not sure how much entertainment he's getting out of this one, but it's certainly a very good run. It's going to be our benchmark by Svein Tuft. Looking reasonably quick there. At last we get some flags to actually give you a more descriptive measure of the wind, and Pichot it is that hits the line now, and that's not bad at all actually. 6.87, just 6 seconds down at the first intermediate. So cutting just back, and it'll be the Flamme Rouge in a few moments time for Svein Tuft, and then the gentleman from security who has now been dragged over to one side. Hopefully won't make a nuisance of himself again. A little bit of a technical finish as well, Magnus.
Yeah, very tricky final kilometre and a bit. A lot of 90-degree turns and
manhole covers,
narrow roads. I think we even got to come off a curb at some point. Yeah, it's certainly not an easy one.
There we are. I don't know who designed the course, but I sort of imagine that he owns a house here. Oh. Well, fancy cutting away at a moment like that. All right, Maciej Bodnar, but I'd quite like to see Svein Tuft finish, thank you very much. I wonder if we're going to get a split screen. Now, this man, questions about his form, I guess. He was in the breakaway on the opening day and did... Oh, whoa, that was... I see what you mean, but he's carrying a lot of speed into it. He checked and double-checked, and again into this one. It's hard to read such narrow piece, especially when you've got the curbing just running towards you, but he's done a master's job of it, and I think this is going to be a very, very slick time. Here we are then, last 250 metres, well, I was going to say anybody's guess. Well, one thing is for sure, he's mind you, Hoogland's time not bad at all. There we are. Francis Tijoux really have sorted themselves out time trial wise, and Svein Tuft, you know, it's going to be close. It may be second. It is Holgaard, I beg your pardon, doing a fantastic job. Svein Tuft, second quickest so far. 18:48 still stands for Francis Tijoux. Welcome back. Somebody's just posted a burger, and he is quickest so far. Lucas Postelberger of Bora Aragon, a team a bit like Francis Tijoux, who really have transform themselves, I guess. Mind you, they've always not been bad at time trialing Bora, but Francis Tijoux certainly have pulled it out of the bag of late. Tirreno Adriatico, fantastic. You know, this is a team that knows how to time trial quite clearly, but set out to relearn the art, and they've done a great job. It shows you, with focus and dedication, you can actually much improve your time trialing skills. Francis Tijoux, case in point.
Well, definitely. They've been very poor in this particular discipline in the past, and clearly have realised that that's just not good enough anymore in professional cycling. You need to be capable of time trialing if you're going to be anywhere near, you know, a top GC ride in any stage race.
There we are. This is Adrien Petit, just about to de-ramp, as you can see, and resplendent in what I think is one of the groovier liveries. It's a sort of a dark plum, although it looks brown on TV. Sort of plum and gold. Direct Energie. I don't know why I like it, but it looks like he's had bagels thrown at him. Maybe that's it. I'm feeling hungry.
Donuts.
Well, I'll tell you what, while Magnus keeps tabs, let's tell you about... Other people keep budgerigars. Let's tell you about the Tour de France, shall we? And indeed, its start. What a fantastic opening venue we've got. Very much looking forward to the Tour de France, Maggie. It is difficult times. We've got Flanders, which has got its own security worries this weekend. Let's just hope that everyone stays sensible, shall we? And we can just get on with enjoying life, of which cycling is a major part, particularly for us, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. It's unfortunately troubled times up in Belgium at the moment, but we're hoping that everything goes smoothly this weekend, not only for the riders but also for the spectators.
Tonelli sounds like very heavy pasta, and right now it looks like he's been carrying a bag of it around with him, I'm afraid, because this is not an impressive time. I think it's one for him to sort of quietly forget about. Nonetheless, 43 kilometres an hour, not too bad, just outside the top 10, but he's not going to stay there for long. When does this get real, Magnus?
Well, Maciej Bodnar is out on the road here now, and it looks to be going very well indeed. He's certainly 100% committed to this one, so I think we'll probably see another fast time, if certainly not a, well, it could be a great time as well with Bodnar. You never know. You never know.
And I guess that's, as you were saying, it's a mirror of what this race is about. It can be a sort of a spin out, really, after the exertions of this morning. Fulzang, second quickest at 19:20. Remind us of Bradley Wiggins' time from last year.
17:58.
There we are. It was a great year for Bordeaux, and indeed a great time for Bradley Wiggins. Etixx-QuickStep, a team that has some other focuses for the weekend. Van Kiersebulk, though, is about to get off the ramp. Unshaven. There's a little bit of speculation and theorising as to whether having a grizzly chin actually hampers you or not on a time trial bike. Notably, Bradley Wiggins shaved off his beard when he went for the hour record, and he'd been bearded before and he's been bearded since. So
marginal gains.
There we are. Pichot, 1912. Almost an overture, just 100 years too late. Hertz. This is good. Very good indeed. There's Bodnar's time, and that's not bad. Maciej Bodnar then is on a mission. We were questioning his form. Well, clearly he fancies having a go at a time trial.
Yeah, why not? And he's a good time trialist, so this is an opportunity to really show himself. But like we said, it's a difficult time trial course at that, so something that I think should suit Bodnar, who's obviously a very capable road rider and likes the roads up here.
Certainly does. Looking at Petit now, and you can see what Bodnar has actually set out there, which is an extraordinarily good split. And in fact, nobody coming anywhere close. Facing a headwind at that point, the flag's helping us out in that regard. You're facing all kinds of wind on a day like this, especially when you're towards the coast, but it gets a bit nasty on that very technical return to what is almost the start-finish ramp. And here we are, catching your Minutemen is what this is all about, and no problems at all. He may catch two along the way.
Well, that's Andre Greipel. Bodnar is just about to catch here, and he's clearly giving it everything he's got, and starting to turn that bigger gear as well, which is so very typical for this particular course. Is you try and start on with a high cadence, and then as you get more and more fatigued, you tend to go down through the gears and try and just finish off on brute power and an awful lot of willpower.
Greipel just looks around. He was going to move over to take this next curve, gentle one, and double check behind. I think he probably heard that there was a man coming up. Even as quiet as he's approaching here, stealth-like.
Yeah, well, with these big disc wheels in the back, there's nothing quite stealth-like. It's that's true. A proper rumble noise that's coming. They
do have a rattle to them. Just explain about the bigger men here and the 190 cutoff, that and the help that you get if you are a taller rider. You obviously got it.
Yeah, I got it, but it's not actually an awful lot of help, to be honest with you, because even the help that you do get with the bike setup, it's still not quite enough for the taller rider. So if you hold the plumb line down from the very tip of the nose of the saddle, that has to be 5 centimeters behind the bottom bracket, and then the extension, the furthest point on the extensions on the handlebars, depending on the height that the rider is, can only be so far out, and it's 80 centimeters if I'm not mistaken completely now.
Yeah, it's not that much of an advantage, but you do get a very slight extension to tri-bars, but it's a matter of a couple of centimeters. It's not.
When I was racing, it was excuse me, a major disadvantage as Ten Broek just comes across the line in 1932. It was a major disadvantage because we were only allowed to have it out, reaching out to 80 centimeters, and when you're my height, 193 tall, you actually get a massive disadvantage because you pull your hands in towards your chest and towards your stomach, and all that you're doing is effectively your upper arm acts as a wind block rather than cutting through the air as a shorter rider who would be able to be further extended onto in his position, and with that he would be more efficient in the wind tunnel.
This is Guillaume van Kiersebroek from Etixx-QuickStep. We're waiting, just double checking my ramp time. Wisniewski is about to get underway from Etixx-QuickStep teammate. I think they may have hooked up with the wrong man here. It looks like a 13, should have been an 18, but there you go. He'll be coming off the pole fairly soon. In fact, he's deramping any moment now. This is Martinelli coming home, and this is a very good time. Look at that. So Postelberger, quickest so far. He won't quite beat that, but I think he's going to be good enough for third, because you'll see another time joins us in a few moments' time. There's still a little bit of space there, and in fact fourth place. They're racking up, aren't they? Sub 19, we're seeing quite a few of those times today. The wind, of course, has an impact. Hoping that the rain stays away. There's a 25% chance of rain, and if it does come, it's going to come late, and the wind is expected to pick up as well later on in about an hour's time. So if that's the case, and we've had a look at Wind Finder and some other services, if all that is true, then it's really going to hamper, I'm afraid, some of those who go late. That was Wisniewski, the young Pole, who goes well, and he's underway. Here's your man.
Here's our man Bodnar, certainly going very strongly indeed. But like you said, if anything is going to happen in terms of weather-wise, it's in the last couple of kilometers, or a couple of riders, and luckily all the major favourites are starting at the same time.
All bets were off, by the way, today. The bookmakers, I guess, didn't want to be shocked by the weather, and anyone who was reading the weather well. Beer Blocky goes through, and that's a fine time. Just about 15 seconds down. This is that technical finish. It's being taken by Bodnar. I'm still wondering about it for time trial bikes. It looks like you need a BMX bike to get around some of these corners.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a tight couple of corners here, and Bodnar is certainly not holding back. He's taking all the risks that he can to carry the speed through the corners, kicking hard out of it as well. So Bodnar is clearly wanting a good result in this stage.
Wow, driving through the corners, and the danger is, of course, on the bottom of your pedal stroke that you actually ground it. Well, he almost did there, but knows his bike and his capabilities very well. And this is an outstanding time. Well, Postelberger wasn't bad, but this is just way up there. Top draw stuff. Might even be a winning time from Bodnar. 17:39 in a windy, technical, nasty, spiteful course. Greipel coming in, as you see. Well, it's an abundance of riches in the Bodnar camp for now. Let's put it that way. 17:39 is the target time. Maciej Bodnar setting an absolute screamer out there. Superb mark for everyone to target. It's going to be tough to beat. There are a few out there that can do it, and of course I can't wait to see Lieuwe Westra, or even let's see Lutsenko, you know. Although Westra is the better time trialist, you might think, Lutsenko's had some decent runs as well, and in fact up your way, Magnus, Denmark, he had a good run in the individual time trial then. I can't remember whether he actually won it or not, but Lutsenko is no slouch when it comes to this, and within sight, or indeed with a sniff of victory overall, he'll be going for it.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose here today. You know, it's a question of podium or winning, really.
Podium or bust, really, isn't it? And I think that's the way they're all going to be thinking. Tony Martin starts today, we remind you, 50 seconds down, but Lutsenko, Westra have a chance of upsetting our friend who leads this race, defending champion, Alexander Kristoff. Only 7 seconds margin, and they may well try and steal it at the last, Astana.
Well, they'll definitely give it their best to do so, and I think Westra is certainly a threat to Kristoff, although I have a feeling that Kristoff is going to be able to respond to that, but probably more questionable this year than it was last year at any point, really.
His hurts, and that's a good time as well, but look how the difference. He's 4th quickest. It shows you what Bodnar has delivered here. Well over a minute down on our fastest man so far. We've got our benchmark well and truly, Magnus.
He's been on the deck as well, gone through one of these corners and clearly gone a bit too quickly.
Wisniewski, there's room out there to do a good job. He's 16 seconds down, and once again Bodnar's split of 6:38 really is a fantastic marker. By the way, I have tweeted or retweeted Eurosport's interview with Kenny van Vlaming. Check it out. He's a marvel. He gets very emotional, doesn't he, Kenny?
Yeah, good old Kenny, and he's got so much knowledge of the Belgian racing scene.
It's poetry. This is how we stand at the moment. Maciej Bodnar 14 seconds clear of Via Bolocki, and we have Van Kiersebulk. As you can see, they're sort of racked behind Bodnar for the time being. Well, this will be an interesting one. Well, into the 19s for Petit. I was expecting a bit more from the man who looks like he's been hit by donuts. You know, as soon as I said that, I've gone off this this jersey. There we are. A lot of riders have actually got the sort of stubby Giro helmets, as opposed to the long tails. You've got to have good head management if a long tail isn't to become an air brake.
Yeah, you definitely do, Carlton. It's that's what I think why so many riders are now going for the shorter helmets to be able to move that head around a bit more. But it's also got to do with the with how your back is curved and the shape of the position that you're sitting in on the bike. To you know, as for certain riders, the longer tail helmet is faster than the shorter one. But yeah, like I said, it does require that you hold your head still.
Emma's got a question. We answered it this morning, Emma, but you possibly missed the first phase of the day. Did the Katusha guy get thrown off for hitting another rider? No, he didn't. There was no complaint issued. They were fined, though. They were fined. How much?
I think it was about 100 Swiss francs.
There we are. It was naughty boy money, basically. To be honest, there's so much to cause worry at the moment, and without a complaint against him. Here's Kittel, by the way. This is interesting. 45 seconds down. So Swiss francs, how much?
200 to be exact.
There we are. And do you want to name and shame?
Well, it was Vyacheslav Kuznetsov and Alexander Pichot.
There we are. So they said, I think they were basically given a warning, and then they were shown the exit drape from the tent, and they came out looking a bit shamefaced, but yes. They sorted it out amongst themselves. They probably went in with arms around each other, pretending to be best buddies, and the commissaires thought, you know what, we're not going to throw them off, we're just going to fine them. 200 Swiss francs these days, you can almost buy a house for that. The Swiss franc has, of course, strengthened against most currencies, as everyone else has had their wobbles. Just looking at form right now, this is Julien Maurice, and that's Freddy Frisson, I believe, from Lotto Soudal. We may be keeping it local on some of these guys, unless Freddy has got a certain frisson. He's coming up to the dodgy corner, as we like to call it, in a few moments' time, where you can actually get a nice taste for hedge if you're not careful. There are several hairpin bends along the way. In fact, well, all right, there's not several, there's three. But three really nasty switchbacks. Olivier Le Gac. What's a Gac?
I don't know.
Well, he's one. And here he goes. Somebody will tell us. I'm being told by my producer that it doesn't mean anything. I bet it does. It's somewhere it's going to mean something. But there we are. Yeah, maybe it was grace, and they missed out the R and the E long ago, and it's just fallen into disrepair. but nonetheless, he's having a go. I've really been impressed with Francis Sugier. I was super impressed by the fact that 200 to 1 on the Tirreno Adriatico, they finished third.
Yeah, I mean, they have worked hard on it, and
that's the team time trial, by the way.
Yeah, but even in the individuals, they have worked really hard and are certainly becoming very capable in it. And here's Viviani clearly going full bore on this one, but still a minute down on Bodnar.
Still a minute down on Bodnar, but that's not bad if he wants bragging rights, of which he'll take a training session wherever he can get one, and that sort of feels like one. He looked like he'd spent himself today. I don't think you'll be seeing Viviani in Flanders, but he's had a good week, hasn't he? He's found the victory he was looking for.
Yeah, it definitely has, and here he goes, Marcin Bieloblocky coming in.
Oh, good time, but look at the gap to Bodnar. And the cadence is a strange one.
He does ride very small gears, Marcin, always staying on, well, very much on top of it. I would like personally prefer to see a little bit more leverage on there, but nevertheless, it's a decent time by Marcin.
It looks like he's trying to keep the lights on with a dynamo, but anyway, leave him to it. Bodnar is our leader. It's got a very Polish look to the top, hasn't it?
It does, yeah.
Vreese, another of our Belgian friends, and you're probably thinking, why? Well, it's local.
It's from Belgium.
It's good enough. Yeah, exactly. It's all about Belgos at the moment. Here we are, churning it and doing a half-decent job. Freddie Frisson, we can only assume. Meanwhile, Van Kiersebulk is coming in. How will this be? Not bad at all, but nowhere near Bodnar at the moment. I'm wondering how many others are going to get into the 17s, to be fair.
Yeah, that's a good question. That is, gets close to Marcin with that time in third place over the line.
We're going to take ourselves a commercial break. Check out the Kenny van Vlaming interview, by the way, in our build-up to Flanders. We'll be back with more from the final day here. Welcome back. Still nobody has unseated Bodnar. Quite outstanding run that we've seen early on. It's kind of low-key at the moment, which will probably give you a chance to go and see the interview with Kenny van Vlaming that we were telling you about. Do check it out. If you go to Eurosport UK TV, then you'll see what we're going on about. A couple of questions as well coming in about some of the technical aspects of what we're dealing with at the moment. And we'll go to Magnus in just a short while. Interesting to see the aero bottle here on Freddie Frisson. They banned those for a while and then allowed them to be placed after buying the integral frame ones. They've allowed a slim version to be re-permitted. So talking aero bottle, technical stuff. What about isometric and rotor rings? Adrian Jenkins wants to know, what happened? Have they dropped out of favour? Did you ever like them, Maggie?
I did have a bit of time on all of the oval chain rings that are out there, and more to understand myself what if there was any
what
advantage.
The fuss was about.
Well, if there was any advantage to them or not, and I do think in certain cases, yes, there are certainly an advantage, but for me as a rider, didn't quite work as well as I hoped it would do.
Some people swear by them, and some people used to swear by them and now swear at them. Oh, hello. Now, this is that dodgy corner that caught out the Sky Car last year. They've actually, have you noticed, put a little bit of a curve on the barriers, eating into a bit of the paving, and they've taken away some of the box hedge to accommodate the riders and maybe the longer cars as they come round. Let's just call Maurice in at the moment, because this is not bad. If he gets under 19, that will be a good run again from this direct energy team. There we are, 12 quickest, and he does manage to nip in under the 19 minutes, but you've got to get under 18s if you're going to get there. Oh, this may well be a decent time as well, suddenly hoving into view, and Wisniewski it is, and that's comfortably a very good time. He'll be in the top 10 with this one by the time he finishes. 50 metres to go. But again, Poland really have... is it some kind of national holiday or something today? Not quite sure, but they are the daddies, at least for the time being. And top 3 places belong to Poland just now. Back to O-rings.
Yeah, like I said, there are certain occasions when they really do tend to work well, and others where they don't work so well. And certainly for me, yeah, on a time trial it was okay, but it also takes a lot of time to get used to riding them. So I've gone away from them now and sticking to round rings. But yeah, it's certainly worth a play and see whether you do get on with them. But it's basically the chainring is ovalized, and just to make you get over the dead spot a bit better. So we've got Jack Bauer now taking the start.
Yeah, and as you can see, it's sort of mixed bit of cobblage, the odd bit of tarmac, some concrete, bit of mud. Anything you can think of, really, that roads are made of, we kind of have in Belgium, don't we? It's they're not sparing with their different surfaces.
Oh, good imagination.
Yes, indeed. Last word on the OQ, asymmetric, whatever you want to call it. Some actually started to say that they felt it was actually a real disadvantage in the long term, and that they were getting injured by them. But others said that's complete rubbish. I'm never quite sure with cyclists.
I've never heard that one, actually.
Yeah, I've heard knee problems, but nonetheless, some actually say, as you are just saying now, not a bit of it. And Bradley Wiggins flirted with them. Chris Froome likewise. In fact, still use them occasionally. So yeah,
Chris Froome's still full time on them. I think Bradley Wiggins was on them as well, but there may have been some form.
He chopped and changed.
If you're going on to the track, then you can't really use the asymmetric rings. They don't work on a track bike, so you have to kind of get yourself used to pedaling on round rings again before you get up on the track, and hence why probably Bradley Wiggins was on and off them quite a bit. But I think if you decide to ride them, you've got to ride them on everything and all the time. Like I said, they do take a certain amount of time to get used to. But I've never heard anyone actually getting injured by them. If anything, they actually do release the pressure on the knees past the dead spots over the top and at the bottom of the pedal stroke.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you've saved me from the marketing men who are probably just typing a letter to me at this very moment. But anyway. You saw Ollie Legac, and my thanks to Tim Barthorpe. Tim is an avid follower of Eurosport, and in fact has been known to actually copy some of John Harris Bass's recipes which pop up on the Tour de France. And you'll be pleased, Tim, that he will be offering up a different dish each day once again during the tour as a gentle interlude to my babbling. And of course Sean Kelly's prescient and exact thoughts. Here comes Marcel Kittel. Not a bad time, but also no fireworks have been released off that one. So yeah, Tim Barthorpe, he often does a bit of research for us, which is great. And he says the meaning of Legac, because we saw him, we're sort of following him as well, is one who lives on unceded land. There we are. So but does that mean unfertile? Not quite sure, but not Legac, obviously the land referred to with his name. But thank you, Tim. Sérieux is here now and taking it sérieux by the looks of it.
He certainly is, although he's still some way off Bodnar's time. 27 seconds at this point. That's a big deficit to have.
Yes, I'm afraid too big to bridge. Who will? Jack Bauer? There he is, 53rd overall and giving away over 5 minutes after the this short race. 3 days of Japan with a double phaser, so four stages essentially packed into 3 days. It's a great race, isn't it? It's a good tester at this time of year as well.
Yeah, it is, and like we've said over the last couple of days now, that it's a good outing for anyone who is looking to just improve their form and lacking a couple of kilometers in their legs going into Tour of Flanders on Sunday. So I've certainly always enjoyed this particular race.
Well, here we are, and when you've got a time trialling champion amongst your number, then you're always gonna go very well indeed, I guess. And time to engage the course right now. We're just coming up to 38. This is we've had Dempster go off. This is Jan Barter, the Czech time trialling champion, who's on the road. Tom Bohli as well. do like Ton Bohli's name. I just want to call him Lotto, but for obvious reasons. Well, maybe not obvious. I'm not quite sure. A tombola being a lottery. Anyway, Ton Bohli is going off for BMC in a moment, and he won the Flanders prologue and set a record time. So going to be fascinated to see how that BMC man goes. Here's Vreese cycling with a certain amount of that, just outside the top 10 with an 18.53.
Yeah, not a bad drive by Vreese, as we got Ton Bohli.
There he goes. He'll roll the dice.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to give it everything he's got. You know, there's certain teams that, you know, every single rider is going to have a go and give it their all. And it used to be back in the day when I rode with Credit Agricole, there was we had so many great time trialists, and it was basically the last man across the line from the team had to buy a round at the end of the night.
Wow, that's so. Some encouragement. Porcef keeping it for the Eastern Europeans for the time being. Second quickest out the split and looks very good. This is an important one here for Jack. Take your time, mate. And he does. Well, that was about the smoothest I've seen that corner taken.
Yeah,
almost
very well.
Perfect speed and balance.
Yeah, that was good. Really, really good. And now getting up into to pace as well. He's really given it something. You've got to get on top of the gear and get the speed up before you actually sit down on the bike. But when your legs are screaming, it's the last thing that you want to do.
We will be back in a few moments' time. Going to take ourselves a commercial break, and then we'll have a chat with some of you. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Time trialling champion at home and now operating abroad. Could be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. I think it should be a good one. He's certainly a man who's keen on time trialing. There's no doubt about that. And you know, if you're going home to and actually prepared to ride the national championships full gas, then usually that means that you're quite keen on getting out there on the TT bike.
You've got it in you. How's this man though, from what you've seen so far?
He's certainly looking strong. It's difficult to tell with Jack Bauer. You never know whether he's flying or whether he's just cruising around.
Well, the search for a smooth surface goes on. The utilities have had their fun. They made a perfectly nice road, and then somebody came and put a gas cable in there, an electric one. The waterboard were there next. Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be a better way of digging up a road constantly and resurfacing it. The chops and changes in the rolling resistance on the roads is reflected. It's almost magnified on a time trialing bike because they're not the most stable machines, are they?
Well, I think stable is maybe the wrong word to use on them. They sit nicely on the ground, but they don't handle particularly well. It's certainly not a criterion bike that you throw around in the corners as you wish. But when you get out onto a straight road like this, then they sit beautifully on the ground and are very happy to travel in a straight line. Is when you're coming into corners and any other obstacles that you may have to deal with, that they tend to be a bit of a handful to maneuver around. But you know, these guys are so used to riding the time trial bikes, they have at least you know, a time trial bike at home for the large part of the season, and some of the better riders tend to have one all year round.
Stölting has just been caught, as you can see, by Jack Bauer. Nobody's managed to catch 2 minute men today. I think you'd have to be going exceptionally fast to do that, but nonetheless, here's Jan Barter and the first split now. This is going to be our first, I think, honest engagement by to Bodnar's time, and still it reflects just how quick Bodnar, there he is, he goes through the timing gate now, still 11 seconds, but we've got our second quickest man so far, at least through the split. It's going to get very lively today, we remind you. Tony Martin, twice a world time trial champion, seems to have turned himself into a bit of a climber. I'm wondering what Tony Martin, who goes off 7th from last, I'm wondering what Tony Martin is going to produce, 8th from last, beg your pardon, when it comes to the classics, because he started to turn himself into a bit of a roller, hasn't he? And not just a time trialist, but a strong man as well. Yeah,
he does go very well uphill, certainly when he's on super form. And I think Tony is becoming a very, very all-round type of rider. Although maybe not for the higher mountains, but check that out. Ton Bohli, 5 seconds up on Bodnar.
Said, I actually tried to get some odds on Ton Bohli before we came, and all the bookmakers had closed down. He won the Flanders Prologue and he set a course record, so he's on absolute, that's the West Flanders, I beg your pardon, he's on an absolute monster mission at the moment, and that, what you're seeing on your screen now, is a man on form.
Well, it's definitely a man on form. He's going very well, but yeah, the question is, against Bodnar, has he opened up too hard, or has he still got that time trialing form from West Flanders that was now some time ago? Certainly looking fast here.
I guess you have a physiological memory of going well, a psychological one as well. He's certainly putting plenty into this. As you can see, he's weaving about. It's not pretty, but it's very, very effective. Has been at the first split. Can he maintain it? That's the big question.
That is the question. A time trialist who gets to do a time trial like this particular one, or any time trial during the season, they wake up and they're excited about getting onto their TT machine and getting out there and going fast on it. I think that's the difference between the really good testers and the riders who just go okay as well.
Wow, he means business, doesn't he? Look at that. He's absolutely out of the saddle, motoring, trying to get back up to speed, and then as quickly as he can into the ideal position. Here comes Vreese, and I'm afraid he's fried. Sorry about that. Just over 20 minutes. I think possibly our worst time so far, or at least one of them. There we go. Nothing to write home about, so no postcard required. Well, let's see what Ton Bohli can do. Lieuwe?
Yeah.
Pronunciation?
Lieuwe.
Hey, I got close. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I've been busy practicing. It involves a lot of saliva for this weekend in Flanders. 1943, 35th quickest. Bodnar still there, but I think he's under threat, and I think he's under threat from Ton Bohli. It's rolling along quite nicely. Tombola, by the way, is a form of Italian bingo. There we are. Finally found the word. They have a tin and they roll it, hence the tumble. But anyway, that's what I was referring to, even though his name's not Tombola. It's Ton Bohli. And you're going to remember him after today, that's for sure. Not just for his name, but maybe for the time. Yard. Sticks one in. 25 seconds down. And there is Ton Bohli's time of, well, it's an outstanding one. Quickest at the split. Can he sustain it? We talked about negative splits and how you have to impose yourself in the latter part of the course. More than that, keep something back from the first part. It looked like he kept nothing back, Ton Bohli, but if he's on stellar form, maybe he can do this.
I think the moment you turn off the seafront there is basically that's where you need to sort of think that your race finishes, because after that it's just technical. There's so much time to actually recover a fraction through every corner and just kick hard, sit up, take the turn, recover whilst you're doing all that. So you can live with the final kilometre or so, regardless of how tired you are when you turn off the seafront.
So you home, but again, no cigar. Waiting for the last guys to go here, of course, because it's going to decide our title, and I think it's probably worth considering it once we see this Minuteman dispatched in a few moments' time. Barca's looking reasonably comfortable. That's Zach Dempster's teammate in front of him, and the commissaires will be watching for any kind of assistance. When it matters late on, they don't normally allow teammates to go back-to-back, do they? But today, Astana have got Lutsenko chasing down Lieuwe Westra.
Yeah, it's a funny one that certain races they don't allow that to happen, and others they kind of let them get away with it. But I'm not quite sure it's the right thing to do to let teammates go off after each other. Although with all the media coverage and the commissaire motorbikes and the static commissaires out on the course, I think it'd be very difficult to get up to any kind of shenanigans.
Porsev, meanwhile, has got up there time-wise, but there's Bodnar's time. We are still waiting almost with bated breath for Ton Bohli to come in. Poursuet gets close, but still a country mile away, and third quickest so far. There's no doubt that Ton Bohli is going very, very well for BMC, a team noted for their time trialling skills.
They certainly are. They put an awful lot of effort into that, and same thing with equipment development and bike development for the BMC team. They love this part of it. They 2 times world champions as well in team time trialing, so there's clearly something that they focus on.
And this is your man at the moment, Ton Bohli, a Swiss flag. I like it. Yeah, say what you like about it. It's a big plus. Good flag. There he goes. And he's starting just to snake ever so slightly. He's got some lateral movement on his shoulders, and that, despite the fact it's only 14.2 kilometres in length, this course today, it is highly technical, and it's going to take a lot of effort to actually win it. And Ton Bohli is, I think,
a winner.
I think he probably is, you know. It's great. I mean, it's just a shame that nobody decided to offer up the game to us today, and I could have brought you some very long odds and said Ton Bohli started off at 200 to 1 or something like that. I think he possibly would have been shorter than those, courtesy of what he did in West Flanders, but I don't think too many people know about this man's capabilities when it comes to time trialing, and right now he's showing us a lot.
He is, and he is going very well indeed. And he said that the rocking on the bike is purely down to the amount of power that he's putting into the pedals. He's actually struggling to hold the bike steady, and of course he's starting to fatigue a bit now as well, which kind of adds to that.
Well, just sailing down by the tram lines as well. Here's Jack Bauer, another decent time, but look at what he's been beaten by. There's Bodnar, the target time, and well, he's heading down towards a minute off that. And Jack Bauer's no slouch when it comes to a time trial bike. And so it shows you what Bodnar did today. 52 seconds is the deficit for Bauer. So far, only Ton Bohli looks like he's going to get close, quite frankly. Later on, the internecine battle between teammates in Astana could be huge, with Lieuwe Westra and Lutsenko going back to back. Lutsenko will be chasing down Westra, who will have gone off a minute before him. That's not a massive gap either. They normally space them out by 2, sometimes 3 in the team time trial, but usually 2 minutes gap for the top 10. They haven't done it here. They're going off minute by minute, so it means that Alexander Kristoff will, of course, know what his target is. The first target for him will be to catch Lutsenko on the road. Whether he'll do it or not and retain the title remains to be seen. We'll see. This is going to be impressive. He means business, and oh my goodness, just almost gets into one of the padded barriers, supposed to be protective of pedestrians along the way. Well, blessings being offered up here and instilled at the line, but frankly we need to see Ton Bohli finishing, just as and here we're about to see him. This is Jan Barter, tasty time as well, but Ton Bohli is going to hove into vision as well in a moment. Jan Barter crosses the line, 38 seconds down. Now, he was going reasonably quickly. I think he only had a 14-second deficit at the split, but look at this, 200 meters to go. Jan Barter was the minute man for Ton Bohli, and this is quick. And in fact, he's going to catch another here. My goodness, Bohli, is he going to make it? He's using a bit of aero here as he crosses the line. Oh, just second place. My goodness, that was so close by 0.7 of a second. It could not have been closer. I actually wonder whether he would have gone quicker had that spare rider not been in front of him.
I don't know if that would have made any difference, but I certainly think him getting out of the aero tuck there, I think he lost a bit of time on that. When he's travelling at the speed that he was, he's certainly a lot faster in the aero tuck, and I think he could have put out the same type of effort having done that. If he'd been out of the seat sprinting, it would have been a different thing, but as soon as you're seated, you've got to tuck in because it's such a different effort.
Fantastic performance. 17:39, a time shared by 2 riders, but Ton Bohli, watch out for him. Terrific. second quickest, but by just 0.71 of a second. It's almost cruel, Magnus.
It is borderline cruel, that is, but it is racing. So
Rickert comes in, 5th quickest at the split, 17 seconds down. It's livening up good and proper. We've got some decent time trialists still to come, have we not?
It certainly is, and we've just seen Filippo Pozzato head out as well, so we've got a few good riders coming in after that.
We have
Turns and Loic Vliegen.
Yeah, Johan Le Bon, actually, who was 3rd here previously, is about to get underway. And he actually had, Le Bon had a very good individual time trial at Tirreno, you may remember. So this is when everyone went, but he's Francis de Jure. Well, he'd already done a job as the team time trial. They had turned themselves round absolutely brilliantly. And so Johan Le Bon, somebody wrote to me earlier on to say, why do you call him Francis de Jure? Is it because it's the team name? Everyone else calls him FDJ. Well, it's the National Lottery called Francis de Jure, and I'm going to carry on with it. Here we are, Johan Le Bon. I won't even tell you her name. Ah, dear. So, come on, Johan. He is ready for this. Talk about coiled spring.
Yeah, he's certainly looking keen on this one. We'll see how he gets on with it as well, because
it's a nasty start, isn't it, to offer up cobble straight away?
Yeah, it's difficult to get your speed up straight away, but it's only a question of a couple of meters of cobblestones, and then you're straight back out on normal road again. The key thing with this time trial, though, is to start strong but not go out too hard. It's very easy to just open up too quickly and go into red, and then you're sitting in red and suffering with, you're not getting control of your breathing, you're not finding the rhythm of the riding, and that just means one thing: you are slowing down very quickly.
So here comes Jard, and just going to be outside of the top 10 by the time he gets there. Luc Vienne, the Brent Eagle, says the guy's braking very early and cautiously into the corners, or is it just the camera angle? No, they really are taking good care on some of the switchbacks. They're here possibly amongst the most focused switchbacks that you're going to get on a time trial and bike through the whole season, I reckon.
I would have thought so, yeah. But what we've got to remember as well, with all the new aerodynamic builds that are being made by the different bike manufacturers, they're putting the brakes in places where they really, in my book, shouldn't be. The brakes are also nowhere near as good as they are on a road bike because of, number one, the brake levers, very, very short levers, aerodynamic build to them as well. There's no leverage in the actual lever itself. That together with a brake that's placed like Filippo Pozzato here's got his brake underneath the frame itself, tucked out of the wind. These bikes just don't stop as well as a normal road bike would, and that's why you've got to start braking early. But it's also giving you an opportunity to sit up, use your chest as a windbreak, catch your breath a bit, get your heart rate down, and then as you take the turn, get back on it, and you may have dropped as much as 5, maybe even 10 beats in your heart rate, and you kind of need that when you got to launch into the next section of straight road.
Danny Van Poppel on your screen now. He's the holder of the blue jersey. Is that the Russia's competition? There we are. We were talking about thatching earlier on today, in case you missed it, but it's got nothing to do with that. It's the intermediate sprints along the way. So yes, a sort of an unfamiliar look to his jersey, but yes, it belongs to him. It is the Rush competition, in case you were wondering, all blue. You'll be seeing a rather fetching time trialling outfit from Alexander Kristoff a bit later. I'm wondering whether we're actually going to see the full sort of orange and white livery that used to look so good in the old days before they started splatting on commercial sponsorship, which kind of destroys a lot of the older jerseys. Those that were quite modest seem to be drowned out these days. Here's Johan Le Bon, still going very well. He knows this course, and I guess if you've gone well here before, Magnus, a certain amount of confidence is no bad thing.
No, it definitely isn't. You know, if you've hit this and done it right once, then you kind of know what you're trying to, the sensation that you're looking for, and it's certainly easier to find your way through the course and find the rhythm quicker if you know, like if you get the start done perfectly, you know exactly what to do the next time then, and how how to do it. Obviously, wind depending as well, and all the rest of it. But as long as you're going by your power output and working based on that, then you should be able to replicate a good ride.
Southeast have 2 riders left. Fonzie, who was in the break this morning, happy days, and Pippo Pozzato. Everybody else is off the bike. I assume they're not well, because
they've also had a couple of crashes and
yes.
so on. So it's not been a great outing for them.
So what's Pippo got at this point? As you can see, it doesn't look overly focused, but you never know his gearing. But 35 seconds he's giving away at the moment, and just cruises round the corner. I think that will probably tell the local director that maybe this isn't one to follow today. But Southeast Venezuela, they'll take the coverage wherever they can get it, quite frankly, with so few riders left. Just 2, in fact. It's lucky it's not a team time trial at the end. Elvin for the line right now, and 39th quickest. Johan Le Bon is going to go well. Dmitriy Gruzdev is just off the ramp, by the way, for Astana. Stefan Kueng of BMC, and we're picking him up right now. No surprise, he was runner-up here last year and will go well.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't put in a good performance here. You know, he's got an opportunity to move up in the general classification as well. So he certainly will give everything he's got.
Derek Woodworth is he's an avaricious man in terms of information. Carlton, please ask Magnus, referring to power meters, could you talk about power meters, he says, and 3 benefits over heart rate and average speed. Thank you very much. I don't know why he wants 3. Sounds like a are you a politician, Derek?
I don't know why you need 3 of them. There's one clear benefit to it, and that is
it's not enough. He wants 3.
Well, okay. There's no variability to power. 1 watt is always going to be 1 watt, as long as the power meter that you're using is stable and accurate. The second one is obviously when you're training with power, then because of the accuracy of the power and it being constant all the time, you can sort of pinpoint your training rides and know exactly what the outcome is going to be. Those are kind of the 2 main differences. As soon as you start playing with heart rate, that varies whether you've had a good night's sleep, a bad night's sleep, whether you've eaten reasonably close to it, how fatigued you are, you know, after a certain amount of training, and so on and so on. Even hot and cold weather will have an effect on your heart rate.
What about the consistency of the data? Is that a third one?
Well, the consistency of the data is definitely built into the first 2. I think you know, you have to have a consistent power meter and one that rigs accurate at that. There's so many power meters coming out on the market right now, and they all claim to have a certain amount of accuracy, but there's very few of them that actually are accurate to what they're reading.
I know you're involved with one, so as it's a pertinent question, there is a system of actually reading at the crank.
Well, there are a number of different systems out on the market and reading on the crank, in the crank. But I think the question is building a purposeful power meter in the crank arm itself is where the most accurate reading is, not gluing something onto an already existing crank arm and try and get the readings from that and making algorithm into what is potentially a watt.
So it's essentially embedded.
It is embedded, and it starts out as basically what should we call it, a Wheatstone bridge, and then that you create a power meter out of that.
Welcome back. We've I don't want to use the word amblers, but there's a few at the end of the day that quite frankly just about had enough.
Yeah, just about.
There we are. Job done for Riquet. But yes, it's all going to get very, very lively fairly soon. We've got Sylvain Chavanel who will be coming off the ramp in a few moments' time. Decent split by Gruzdev as well. It's really only the last 3, Magnus, that we believe. Oh, just off the edge for Stefan Kueng. He tried to widen the turn as much as he possibly could and really almost got very out of shape there.
He just locked the rear wheel up going into that corner there. That's what made him slip a bit.
Yes, King has just almost lost the back wheel on the worst of the hairpins that they have to deal with today. Real proper switchbacks, almost a dead stop. And that was nearly the end of what is a promising run.
Well, it could have been the end of it, definitely, but he managed to pick it up quickly and was straight on to the power out of the corner as well. Just overshot it slightly, and it's difficult to gauge when you're coming in at the speed that these guys are travelling here. It's a tailwind going down to that particular turn, so they'll be travelling at close to 60 kilometers an hour, and it is really difficult to. You want to be as late as possible onto the brakes, but then again, you don't want to obviously overshoot it. So yeah, sometimes you just end up locking up like that.
So it was a squeaky moment. I think he probably knocked out about 3 seconds from his run because he had to re-engage himself. Sylvain Chavanel. He used to be very good at this sort of thing. In fact, he's won the time trial at this race on 2 separate occasions. So, again, somebody who likes to turn the clock back occasionally when it's the race of truth.
Yeah, why not? He's certainly a very capable time trialist and former French champion time trialing as well on a couple of occasions. So he knows how to do this. There's no question about that. The question is, has he got the legs today?
Steels coming home, and again, looks like Topsport Vlaanderen have run out of puff, quite frankly, today. They're not really lighting it up as far as the timing sheets are concerned, but we'll forgive them. So Chavanel, next guy that I really want to, I can't wait for, quite frankly, is in 7 minutes' time. We've got Tony Martin coming off the ramp, and I'd like to see how much of a go he gives it. I don't think over 14.2 kilometres he can make up his deficit overall, which is 50 seconds. Tall order, isn't it?
I think though that is a very tall order to do, but I think Tony Martin will definitely go out here today and give it everything that he's got. Whether that's good enough to move him up anywhere near the podium, that's a different equation, I guess. But I think Tony would like to try and at least win the stage here. But like I said, this is not a pure time trialist type of course, and with that, I think there's certainly a few more guys that could get close to him.
Niels Polte leads the mountains classification, and in fact, no, that's Loic. Is it him or Vliegen? You'll have to forgive me on that one. I'll double check in a moment. No, in fact, it was just a straight old Katusha skin suit. It looked overly red to me, almost lipstick red. But there we are. Danny Van Poppel, sorry about that. 14th over the line and giving away 1 minute and 12. You're better than that, mate. Yeah, not a happy place. And indeed, his Minuteman just about to close down upon him, as you can see. Yeah, some struggling times, I think it's fair to say, out there. Maybe it's the camera angle here. I thought it was all red, but no.
Yeah, there's also the material in the skin suits. You can see it's all riveted in all sorts of different directions to let the airflow go through and direct airflow into the right positions on the rider to be as slippery as possible. And with that as fast as possible, obviously. No climbs, of course, in this morning, or indeed naturally within the time trial, although it's not unusual to have them there occasionally. Loic Vliegen is the winner of the King of the Mountains competition, by the way. Polte coming through at the split. Sorry for any confusion. Yes, Loic Vliegen is your man from who has the mountains classification from Team BMC, and he's long gone as far as this one's concerned. Alexander Kristoff bossing the points classification as well, which is the green jersey that was nursed yesterday by Viviani, as I'm sure you know. But yes, you'll be seeing the orange and white of the leader going off last. So can anyone have the beating of what has turned out to be a very, very solid time so far? Wow, I think if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Tony Martin or potentially Stefan Kueng as well. I know he's a very good time trialist, but I think it'll be difficult to beat that one. Tony Martin is the one man I think we're going to have to keep an eye on.
There's the split. Bohli had that, but finished on the same time as Bodnar by the time he got to the end of his run. And not a bad time either by Kristoff, who's clearly motivated today. This is Pozzato coming to the end of his run. And the days of shining brightly on a time trial bike, clearly other days. And it was only occasional as well. And not suggesting he was one of those that was helped by helicopters famously in in Italy. That was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was something. But no, Pozzato never really been a big fan of time trialing, never having gotten all that well on a time trial
even
bike.
With helicopter assistance.
Even with helicopter assistance.
I'm not suggesting anyone got on a helicopter, but we're referring to what was alleged to be a scandal in the past. Which was helicopters creating a draft behind Italian riders. It was never proven, but did you believe it?
You hear all these things, but I never really went to.
I just think it would possibly be a bit dangerous, apart from anything else, if a helicopter was trying to.
I guess it depends on how close to keep the rotors.
Yeah, it could be very dangerous. At the bottom of this little route here, you're going to get a dead stop, and it's caught a few out, and some very, very good time trialists and bike handlers have had some very squeaky moments. Oh, has he settled himself in for this one? Let's have a look. Hard on the brakes, takes a decent turn. Well, he really did share a lot of speed there. He left his braking very, very late. That's a man who's totally aware of his capabilities and indeed that of his machine.
Yeah, definitely so. And Johan Le Bon is coming in here now towards the finish. That's a very good time indeed.
It is, and it shows you what Francis de Gieux have done in terms of time trialling. They really are singing along at the moment. It's another sub-18, only just, but still, nonetheless, he's in the vanguard at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. That's very impressive by Johan Le Bon, actually.
What have they been doing, Francis de Gieux?
Practice.
Practice, and it clearly makes near perfect. That was a very, very good run. So, waiting for, that's Amaury Chapillot of Topsport, Capillot, beg your pardon, of Topsport Vlaanderen. Morkov is about to deramp, and then Tony Martin, of course, in just over a minute's time. I think we'll be staying with Tony Martin through much of the run. Here's Sylvain Chavanel. This is a very good split. He's very, very close at hand. 7 seconds down.
Yeah.
Well, he may well turn the clock back. This is a super run by the Frenchman. Looking forward to this.
He's looked very composed so far, and clearly is on his game today.
Hyper motivated into the corners as well.
Well, yeah, definitely. He's a man who knows how to ride his particular course. He's, like we said, been up right up there in the past on a number of occasions, and most of the riders go out beforehand and just ride through the course as well and test certain sections of it just to see how much speed do I, at what point do I need to brake, and effectively get themselves a braking point on the side of the road, a specific lamppost or something like that.
We've only got about half an hour remaining of our transmission, which tells you that fairly shortly Kristoff himself is going to be off the ramp, and at 1 minute intervals for even the top 10, they're going to be some targets set out here. One of them, I'm sure, will be by Tony Martin. This is a man who has nothing else other than absolute focus when it comes to time trialing. He's not quite perhaps the great he was. Still German champion, but you can see he's got the world champions hoops on his sleeve. Twice of asking. And away he goes. This is going to be special. How special, and whether it's our winning time, only he will be able to prove by the end of this, what is going to be one of the quickest runs, you can be sure about that. And even momentarily getting into an aero tuck shows how concerned he is just to get the very best out of every single moment out on course. This is De Vreese, and this is a good time by the Rompot rider. He's been riding very well, which is why he's starting so late. Gives away 50 seconds though, but on a non-favoured discipline, that's not bad.
Yeah, he was on the floor this morning as well, so he's clearly carrying a few battle scars.
Some riders have picked up injuries from the opening phase of the 2 stages that we've run today. We had a short stage, but with a very dramatic end. That and there's quite a pile-up and lots of grazes. No serious injuries to report from it, but it was a quick finish in our sprinters stage today, which Marcel Kittel took. But we're seeing some of the wounds on display in the time trial this afternoon.
Yeah, I think Vreese was one of those guys that went down a bit earlier as well on his own, and just got caught on the back wheel of the rider in front of him. But yeah, there was a few guys in the barriers, but although it didn't look like anyone got too badly hurt, as we've got Gruzdev coming across the line there.
50 seconds. That's his deficit. So Bodnar and indeed Bohli, who will be next to just trouble them at 17:39 as a target time. Well, here's the man they used to call Turbo. Turbo Durbo. Not quite as fast these days, but still pretty quick.
Yeah, he can certainly turn out a good time trial when he wants to. There's no question about that. He's looking focused.
Certainly is. He's got that aero chin as well, which must only help. Thanks for your company, by the way, throughout the 3 days of the Pan. 4 stages over the 3 days. Someone was asking if the trams had stopped. No. There's your answer. I guess if the wind was blowing, you might get a bit of a shield here. But,
exactly why he went over to that side of the road.
Even when it's not really blowing. Actually, from the cordons, you can see that it is. So yeah, a little bit of that's a handy one then.
It's a drag race.
Yeah, and it is shielding him from the wind. You can see the way the cordons are bowing here. What he needs is for the tram driver just to speed up a bit, but he's got a fixed pace. He could probably do with dropping back just ever so slightly. Now the tram driver knows that he's going to be crossing that intersection, so I imagine he's going to wait, which is why he hit the brakes. Stefan King, not quite in the magic 17s. Magic number at the moment is 17:39.28 with Bodnar. 0.71 down on that is Ton Bohli, and King finishes 29 seconds adrift, but still good enough for 4th place. That really tells you all you need to know about Bodnar's time and how close to Ton Bohli went today. Amaury Capillo still wrestling it. In fact, he's, that's unkind. He's actually looking very, very smooth, isn't he?
He's looking very fluid indeed, and nice cadence, good gear, and driving along here on this tailwind section.
Nice solid shoulders, looking good. Tony Martin drifting around the corners. He's on something of a mission. We were just admiring the style of Capillo, actually. This man, though. Yes, he's Tony Martin. It might not on occasion, he may not on occasion look the most elegant, but it is such an amazing delivery of power that he manages. Quite often he's given to a bit of movement on his seat, and he's tried various methods to stop him moving and having to readjust his seated position, courtesy of his hooped back, which is a characteristic of his style. In fact, he used to put some sandpaper. It was a very elementary fix. I seem to remember it wearing through and causing all kinds of injury to his undercarriage at one time.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of them things. If you commit to something, then why not go all the way? Lieuwe Westra on the start ramp. But we've got to also say that Tony Martin has recently, over the winter, changed his time trial position. The front end of his bike is completely different with the bar extensions.
Well, we'll have another look at that in a moment. This is Lieuwe Westra, though, and this is a man who has a chance to snatch the title, and he's going to give it the best possible go. A lot of arguments and speculation and as to why between himself and Lutsenko when they got mugged essentially by Kristoff, who helped himself to a victory on the opening stage. Lutsenko finished second ahead of Westra. It's Capillo, nothing to write home about, I'm afraid, at his split, despite his pleasant style. He's ambling. But Westra And Lutsenko, I think there was sausages thrown at the dinner table. I'm sure they're eating something more healthy than that. Here's Colbrelli, and proving as well that he's not bad on a time trial bike. He's essentially just sprinting home at the moment. Good sprinter as well, but top 20 for Colbrelli, a man not given to his time trialing, and he did well there. Here's Lutsenko, I think possibly was deemed to be the bad boy, at least by Lieuwe Westra, but it's a Kazakhstan team. Lutsenko's from Kazakhstan. He's also the national champion time trial wise. Any national champion's going to go well here, so I don't know, it doesn't matter who's at fault. One of them could win it today, but they've got to beat a very determined Kristoff. Pollitt is also determined, and that's a very, very good time for him.
That's a very handy time for Pollitt. There's no question about that, but I'll be keen to see how Lutsenko gets on in this particular time trial.
Well, here's Tony Martin, and there is the split. He's going to be very, very close to it, and that bodes well for everyone who likes to see Tony Martin functioning at his highest. Let's talk about the changes to his position up front.
Well, he's changed the handlebar extensions on his time trial bike and lifted his hands up a lot higher than what he used to have them, and it's one of those things where he used to have an ungainly position with that.
Alexander Kristoff wears the leader's skin suit here. He's defending champion. That's why he has number 1 on his back. And will he finish with that number today as far as the overall classification is concerned? He's got every chance, but he has to go extremely well. As good as he's been in the past, and this is a man who's back from illness and said that when he took that first stage into Zottegem, that it really, really hurt. And earlier in the day, he didn't think he had it in him. Well, he's led the race from the very first stage. Is he going to lead it by the time we take account of the entire race at the end of today? It's a big question.
That is a good question, and I don't know, is anyone's guess really between Westra, Lutsenko and Kristoff, but I certainly think Kristoff is going to be difficult to dislodge from that top step.
Well, he's certainly going to power as much as he can. Here's Tony Martin trying to keep it sensible on one of those nasty switchbacks that have dogged everyone so far today. Let's just give you the numbers, shall we? Tony Martin started the day 50 seconds down, the same as Rick Zabel. Luke Durbridge 48 seconds down. You're looking at him right now, so he has to find 49 seconds over Alexander Kristoff. Not going to happen. Van Lerbeker 47 seconds down, starting 5th from last. Haven't really seen him so far, but a very good race by the Topsport Vlaanderen man. We have Mads Pedersen. Haven't seen too much of him either. He's from the Stölting service team and functioning very, very high, especially in the elevated company within this race. Luke Durbridge comes through, giving away 9 seconds. That's not bad, but it'll just be about the individual stage today for him. He's not going to find the deficit overall. Lieuwe Westra is 12 seconds down. This is where it gets really serious. You've seen him come off the ramp. The Dutchman who rides for Astana. Alexey Lutsenko is the Kazakhstan national time trial champion. He's only 7 seconds down on Alexander Kristoff, who's also off the ramp. So no matter what Tony Martin does, he might just want to take the stage. Chances of victory overall pretty slim, especially with the determination of the last 3 to go. Here's our defending champion. Can he deliver today? He said he's been sick, Magnus. How sick?
Well, that's a good question. I think only Kristoff himself knows exactly how sick he's been, but you know, he's looked okay all week, but not the usual Alexander Kristoff. That was certainly not the one that we saw last year. Here's Sylvain Chavanel coming up towards the finish line in a very good time.
Very good time for the veteran. He's won this stage on 2 separate occasions in the past. He's not going to do it this time, just be in the 18s by the time he breaks the line. And so it proves to be just shy of 18:02. But nonetheless, he showed that there's still some fight in this old dog.
Yeah, definitely. He's still a quality bike rider and a very good teammate to have with all the experience that he has.
Genuinely a nice guy as well to have around. He's inordinately polite, even when journalists are asking him some very impertinent questions.
Oh, it's kind of
like that. He's a gent.
Part of your job as well is to to help people and educate them in your sport.
Oh. It wasn't me asking the impertinent questions, by the way, in case you're wondering. Lieuwe Westra has taken that dead turn. He's out of the saddle, and he really means business. That's the longest drag I've seen anyone take out of the saddle to get back up to speed. He means this, and frankly, I think the first person he wants to stick it to is his teammate Lutsenko.
Quite possibly.
Explain to everybody who may have missed it what the shenanigans was between the pair of them in a three-man break that included Kristoff.
Well, like you said, two riders from one team and one then from another team, and they clearly couldn't make their minds up whether they were riding to just get the maximum time gap on the peloton, or whether they were actually racing for the stage win. I think they would have needed to have attacked Alexander Kristoff, because he was always likely to pick up some bonus seconds here and there. So. Try and get someone like, well, I would have said put Westra on attacking and keep Lutsenko behind and just sort of marking Kristoff all the time. And in that way, I think they would have potentially been able to win this race.
So they threw it away essentially, and there was a lot of finger pointing, wasn't there, and chest jabbing with fingers later on between Lutsenko and Westra. So they've got it to sort out. Anybody's guess who the team wants to win out of that, but one suggests it might be Alexey Lutsenko, because first of all he's higher up the order, and he got 6 seconds bonus when he finished second behind Kristoff, 4 going to Lieuwe Westra. But Westra certainly the favoured man as far as the time trial is concerned, possibly amongst the three of them. So of the three, he's probably going to get the beating of Kristoff, but will it be by a margin of 12 seconds with a highly motivated Kristoff, albeit coming back from illness? We'll only know when they get to the end of the run, which De Vries is approaching right now. And again, look at that, nearly a minute down, but still a top 20. It shows what Bodnar did, and indeed Ton Bohli earlier on. Here's Lutsenko. So 10.21 seconds down on the best split so far. That's going to be crucial, because when it pans out, I didn't get Westra's split, did you?
No, I didn't get that either.
No. So let's see what Kristoff does. This will be crucial. Don't forget, 7 seconds was the deficit, and he's next past the split. So he's got to be better than 10.2 down on the best split time so far, you might think. All right, there's still another half to the run to go, but at least it's given us an indication as to how well placed Lutsenko is for the final run for home. And here it is, and well, that's the mark now where Lutsenko would have broken that timing gate. So Kristoff's got to find a bit more time, but is it 7 seconds? It's more than that. Oh, this looks like it's going the way of Lutsenko, but I don't know what Westra's split was.
No, it's 6:43 was Lutsenko, and Kristoff comes over their line there at 6:46. So
essentially 3 seconds between them.
Exactly.
So he's still on course. Forgive me for my terrible maths, which at a moment like this is pretty crucial.
I'll get the calculator out for you in a minute.
Thanks, mate. Essentially, he's lost 3 seconds of the 7. And he needs to not lose any more, and he heads the headwind and the exposed section. He's a big man, the wind can pick him up. Wow, this is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be an interesting final here, and unfortunately we don't have any more intermediate splits, so it's kind of up to anyone's guess what's happening from between that particular point and the finish line now.
Wow, well, there is Lieuwe Westra. Don't have a split time on him, I'm afraid, because timing is not being given to us at the moment, which is a shame, but at least we'll get them at the line. You can bet that Westra, though, has had a decent one. Oh, and look at the way he's threading through every single one of the curves. He's going to be the first of the main players to finish, no matter what goes on behind. This is Luke Durbridge. As you can see, still plying his trade. He'll be hoping for a proper top 5, and he's 6 and 48 seconds down. But of course, Tony Martin will be one of the first to finish of the leading lights here this afternoon. I'm enjoying this. It's bated breath. It's going to be very, very close, I imagine.
Yeah, it definitely will be. It'll be interesting to see a full a full sort of placement, if we will, on that intermediate time, because I think, well, at the moment we don't know what Westra's time is, and I think that is a vital one for in the battle here between the best riders. So I've just found that actually Tony Martin was 4 seconds down, Lieuwe Westra 5 seconds down, and then we got Lutsenko at 11 and Kristoff then at 14.
There we are. So here's Senchal crossing the line right now. So Westra was giving away 5.4 seconds at that intermediate sprint. Lutsenko 11.8 seconds.
And there's only 2 seconds left in between Westra and Kristoff at that point.
There we are. At last. Thank you very much. So that's how they stand at the moment. That's the classification as they are. 3 seconds to Westra, 4 to Lutsenko, and Kristoff is still in the lead, but I think he's got better time trialists behind him in the shape of both Westra and Lutsenko, but the power of the title and indeed the leader's jersey is not to be discounted at a moment like this. He's gone well on the time trial when he's had to in the past.
Yeah, Westra is certainly not a bad time trialist, and we saw in the first stage how well he's going, and that's now rolling over 55.11 on that specialised bike that he's riding.
Well, he's doing a fabulous job, but so are the men behind him. Lieuwe Westra on a charge. Now, is it going to be enough? I think Westra's going to steal this at the very last, no matter what Kristoff does. Your thoughts? Who are you going for?
Well, I'm still sticking with Kristoff, but it's certainly not going to be an easy one for him.
No, it's not, and not for Westra either. He's got to make up 12 seconds at the top of the day. I think he can do it. Alexey Lutsenko will try and stop him. Here's Tony Martin then, and this is going to be potentially a monster time. It's going to be close, actually. There's Bodnar. He's been beaten a couple of times this season. 25 metres to go. It's going to be even tighter than perhaps we thought. Is he going to get there? Oh! Second quickest, 0.57, and spitting bolts will be Ton Bohli, I'm afraid. It was 0.7 down. How tight is it at the top? Morkov has been caught coming across the line. Our leaders have all got the same time, split by split second. That's remarkable.
Yeah, it's been some time since I've seen that, certainly at this length of a time trial.
17:39. Ton Bohli will be thinking about the course and where he could have found 0.71 of a second, and likewise Tony Martin. How tight was that? There's a very, very happy man, Maciej Bodnar of Poland, and it looks like he's going to get this. 17:39 for all three of our leaders at the moment, but more importantly, it's about the title and what this man can deliver. Bit of a wobbly moment there over the tracks. He's got to get back on them right now. This is fascinating, Magnus. Here we go.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting when we get towards the finish. I think Kristoff may potentially be able to make up a couple of seconds going around the final couple of turns in town there, and certainly on the acceleration out of it and up towards the line, and comparing to someone like Westra. But Westra certainly looks like he's going very well out here, and fully committed to this one.
And no tram assistance this time, I noticed. But no. There you are.
They only give them to certain riders depending on what time they start.
You'd want to look at the timetable, wouldn't you? So last man on the road is, of course, the leader, the defending champion as well, Kristoff. When he comes home, we'll know all. Well, not everything, obviously. Here is Zabel. And it's clear, Zabel, that he's not going to set the world alight with this time, I'm afraid. Hooking back, Turbo Durbo is going to finish fairly soon. Luke Durbridge, it'll be a decent time for Lucky Luke in a few moments' time. Then Van Lerberger, who's been outstanding, so has Mads Pedersen. And here comes Durbridge, and it is a good time for him, just outside of the 18 marker, as you can see, but nonetheless, he still wrestles it, and he is at the end, not giving any quarter. That's the kind of guy he is. Absolutely empty at the end. That's what you want.
That's what you want, and that's certainly what this time trial course tends to deliver you as well. Is a very empty feeling when you're coming across the finish line.
this is important. Westra, how is this going to shape up? He's in the wind, as you can see. Look at the wind kites out there, the wind surface, I should say. And this is no easy task, particularly the technical finish, Magnus, where you believe that Kristoff will have an advantage. I think you're right, but will it be enough of one? And a bit of a check into the corner here from Lutsenko, who now is also coming out to the exposed part of the course, beach side. They've got 2 kilometres exposed here right at the very front, and then they have to cut in about 1.4 k's to go, and it looks like Lutsenko is quicker than Westra at this moment. I think they're less than a minute apart. But what about this man?
Well, this man certainly working hard, there's no question about that. He's rolling that massive gear over as well, but Westra here kicking out of the corners, giving it everything he's got. Lutsenko clearly looked like he was taking some risk going through the turns and onto the seaside.
Oh, that was tight.
Yeah.
And look how cut up the road is here. It's very unkind. There's the Flamme Rouge, and you think, oh, it's all over now. No, there's another one to be taken. The best line through here, your shoulder will touch the padding as he goes through, and it nearly does. My goodness, he's on it. Westra is on a charge. Final couple of curves for him to deal with. And then that long, lazy run past the barriers to the line. It's very much sort of out of town here. Almost in the boondocks, it feels like, but here comes Kristoff as well. I don't know, I think he's lost it at the very last, but what ground can he make up on this technical stuff? He's a supreme bike handler. That was tight, was it not? Here we are. Well, they're still skirmishing further down the line. That's Mads Pedersen who's done a good job. Van Lermeke, he passes by. Mads Pedersen with a very solid and respectful time, but our eyes, of course, just drip to the top of the screen here. And there he is. There's Westra, who I think is going to take the title, is he? Him or Lutsenko, one or two of them. Or maybe Kristoff, despite his illness, can hold on. Let's have a look. 50 metres to go. This is going to be a good time. No time on our screens, for goodness sake. Oh,
17:42.
Oh. Thank goodness for that. Let down by the graphics man, saved by Maggie's eyes. 17:42. So 17:42 it is, and we wait for Lutsenko. Westra to beat Lutsenko, he's got to be 5 seconds to the good of Lutsenko, but to win the title he's got to beat Kristoff by 12 seconds. It's going to be tight. Last couple of curves now. Lutsenko, well, did I misread it on the coast side? I think possibly. Has Westra beaten Lutsenko by the 5 seconds he needs to beat him? And more importantly, the 12 that he needs to beat Kristoff. Has he snatched the title? Oh, testy little curve. It's a nasty one as he goes into the rain gutter. Again, a little bit of a cowling on one of the drain caps here, and he's 350 metres to go. Here we are.
So Lutsenko has to cross the finish line 17:47 to hold on to his second place, and then Alexander Kristoff has to go in at 17:54.
He hasn't done it. Lutsenko has not done it. 52. I'm afraid it's not going to be there, and his teammate Westra will have bragging rights at the dinner table tonight. And Lutsenko may have to offer an apology if Kristoff comes on across the line and beats them. So Westra is the only man who can deny Alexander Kristoff. Right now, 17:42, so Kristoff needs to finish in a 17:54 or less. All right.
Yeah, to hold the win, definitely.
17:54 target time. Here we are. I think it might well be a snatch by Lieuwe Westra at the very last. We've got no rolling time on Alexander Kristoff at the moment, as if to just add to the drama here. 17:54 target time for Alexander Kristoff. He could do with a 17:53 to absolutely make sure. 350 metres. No time on your screen at the moment. We haven't got one on ours either. And Kristoff sails into the final couple of curves. 250 metres to go right now. And at last we get it. And he has just lost it at that point. Title has gone to Lieuwe Westra. Alexander Kristoff. Brave effort it was by a man coming back from illness, don't forget. Brave, gutsy fight by Kristoff. But he hands over his coveted title to Lieuwe Westra.
I think he just managed to hold on to second place there overall, Alexander Kristoff. But what a strong time trial by Lieuwe Westra. Certainly performed well above what I thought he was going to do.
Lieuwe Westra does the job. Well, it's nice to get one right. Westra makes it happen, and look at the joy, and I think relief as well within Team Astana that they didn't mess it up on that first day. In the end, they were able to paper over the cracks.
Well, in the end, yeah, but I think they would have been better off still making sure.
Bodnar takes to the day, same time as Tony Martin, twice world time trial champion, and watch out for Ton Bohli. My goodness, equal on time. Only a split second, essentially, between himself and twice world time trialing champion. It bodes very well for Ton Bohli, the young Swiss. The Swiss do produce great time trialists, do they not? Lieuwe Westra is our champion by a margin of 13 seconds over Alexander Kristoff, who gave it all. Lutsenko finishes a further 3 seconds back, ahead of Tony Martin and Chavanel, your top 5. Good steal by Lieuwe Westra.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we should call it steal. It was always going to be a tight game, this one, and whoever was on best time trial form on the day was gonna walk away with this one. But yeah, strong ride by strong performance by Westra. But I think we saw that already on the first stage, that he was really very strong.
Sì, grazie. Comunque sono molto contento perché
on what was a great run.
Perdi di un
secondo, I'm very happy with the way it's gone.
Questa volta ha toccato a me.
To have lost by a solitary second would have been a hard thing indeed.
Di Tony Martin e Bohli.
I had some luck that the other two guys who were up there sharing with the podium with me today didn't manage to find it. And I'm so happy because Tony Martin, of course, is one of the strongest guys in the world. Yeah, so many times world champion, and to beat him here by just a split second is a pleasure for me.
Sì, perché sì, l'anno scorso non sono partecipato, ma
so it must feel like it's a bit your course here, because it's the second time you like here. Two years ago you won, and in fact I won. He says, but to win it in front of Tony is to make it extra special for me, he says. Well, he took some big scalps there, didn't he?
Yeah, he certainly did. Certainly had the margins on his side, I think we should call it today. I don't know if it's worth him going out and buying a lottery ticket at this point.
Well, Ton Bohli as well. I'd love to have had a word with him. And it looks like we might well have a chat with Lieuwe Westra in a few moments' time. I imagine it'll be Dutch. The questions will be in Dutch, so that's double Dutch.
Yeah.
Not quite sure I'll be able to keep up, but...
let me know if you need a hand.
Yes, right, it may well be you, Magnus, that has to take this one. We'll see. Well, I've enjoyed it, Magnus. You?
Always enjoy 3 days at the Panne. It provides an amazing amount of hard racing and some mix-ups as well, which I quite like. And you know, it's just Belgian racing, isn't it? And I love any of it.
You know, this part of the world, Marvin Gaye came to basically get his head right after all the crowding that he got in the United States. He came to the coast of Belgium, and it was a happy place for him, and likewise for this man.
Eindoverwinnaar van de driedaagse de Panne kokzijde. Wat zijn dan je eerste woorden?
Lieuwe Westra.
Ja, valt een hele druk van me af en goh. Laatste paar uur
pressure went away.
Echt, heel spannend.
And
kon het bijna niet inhouden.
the last couple of hours, I kind of got very nervous.
En ja, ik wou gewoon niet nog een keer tweede worden.
He said, I just didn't want to be second again.
Het was echt bingo en het was gewoon raak. Had goede benen en
everything was on this time trial to try for the overwinning. The feeling wasn't great, but the time was obviously very fast.
Gewoon, het is de koers in België.
So you wanted to win this for years, but why was it so special?
Ja, de Panne, wat heb je aan de Panne?
You know, it's race in Belgium. It's the Panne. It's an important race, and I really want it. So I'm very happy.
First ever GC win in the 3 days of the Panne. How does it feel?
Yeah, very great. I was here a lot of times second before, and before the start I was a few hours thinking about. I hope that I'm not second today, but I had good legs, and also all the 3 days I had very strong team behind me, and she did a lot of work for me, and I must say thanks to the whole team Astana for did all the work, and today I take the victory.
Congratulations, felicitaties.
Dank u.
There you are, papering over a few cracks with with the team as well, after the disquiet of the opening day, when Lutsenko and Westra were pointing fingers and blaming each other for not taking the victory ahead of Kristoff. Westra had plans, designs, of course, on the title, and in the end, he has delivered it to his team, which is fantastic.